Hey guys, welcome back to Tuesday Recovery. I'm Olivia.
And I'm Scott, and today we have...
Caity!
Hey, welcome to the channels.
Thanks for being on with us today, Caity. We're going to go ahead and jump right into it. So what was your drug or drugs of choice if you had multiple, and at what age did you start using any substance?
Okay. So methamphetamine and alcohol. I was probably in, we'll say, 7th grade when I... Okay, so this is where it gets tricky. Okay, so in 7th grade, I started doing coke, and then I started doing meth. So,
it's a young age.
And I always feel like people start, when they start with a drug, that later on their drug of choice will develop into something way different from what they first started with. So
That's most people. You know, people around that age start to experiment. You know, and we found it common that around between 12, 13 years old is when people usually start experimenting for the first time.
And the whole thought of that just pisses me off, because it's like, why is it that you did a study for 25 years and you found the common age is 12, 13, 14? Why is there no prevention against that age? Why are we not teaching people what it actually, like, what's the DARE program? Don't just say no. Say no to what? You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean? I don't know. So how long did you end up using for?
oh, God. Okay, so I had a couple times where I got clean, but I would be drinking. So consecutively, honestly, from like 7th grade up until 2017. I mean, I had like a year and a half, 2 year, but I was drinking, so I really wasn't clean.
Right. So who did your addiction affect?
That's hard to say, because I used with my mom, I used with my dad, I used with my brother. So, I mean, now it affected my current family, my fiance, really. It didn't affect the close ones.
Absolutely. So what led you to get clean?
2017, I ended up going to jail, and I had access to it there. Like, I don't want to say this exactly, but I had real close access to it, and I let it go when I got there. I didn't want it. I just was like, no. And then I got offered 20 years to life.
Oh, wow.
And my current fiance was with another girl, and he had my kids and all that, and I was just sitting there. I had no one. I had no one to call, no one to turn to. I'm sitting in a jail cell, pregnant at that, with a child that I do not have. That was my rock bottom. I had nobody.
Wow.
Nobody.
Absolutely. And it's definitely a family disease. Like when you were talking about using with your family, I can't remember his name, but somebody shared their story too, and he had that same experience. It was like at the age of 7, I think he started using with his dad. And yeah, it's definitely a family disease. I've known a lot of people that have went through that too, and that's so difficult, you know. So how are you staying clean today?
I don't want it.
I don't want it.
To be honest, I don't want it. Like at family functions, they'll like ask us, they're asking me and my brother-in-law, are you okay with us drinking? Because he's in recovery too. And I'm like, go ahead. Like, I'm good. Like, I learned my lesson the hard way or not, I'm done. Like, I have no desire for it.
Awesome.
That's honest, God.
It does. It's just got to get bad enough, you know. You being able to go in there and say no, while especially in a place like that, having access to it like that, that's hard. It really is. It's hard, but I truly believe that once you're done, you're done. You know, but you have to stay. Doesn't mean that the desire can't ever come back. You truly have to work on yourself constantly. And you have to progress. You have to grow. You have to give back. And I believe that again, though, if you feel you're done, you're truly done. So that's awesome.
I don't put myself in that situation.
Good.
So that's what I have to avoid. Is I've never been in situations where I'm around it, you know. So it's like I can't really speak fully on that. But
see, that was always hard for me because where I'm from is I know everybody, you know. So it was always hard for me not to like just surround myself with people because it didn't matter really who it was. I always had the access to it and just the negative atmosphere. So now it's like I am happy with myself. I have my family, you know. I don't really, I'm not gonna say I don't have friends because I have many friends. They're just behind computer screens, and especially for now with the coronavirus and stuff like that. But I've really defined like who I find appropriate to have in my life. Compared to what I used to thought was okay. Like even people that went out to the bar and occasionally drank, it's like that's them. I'm not gonna go with you because I used to, and I used to think I could do it and not go drink myself, you know. And
that's where like it's almost like where that was normal. You know, you live your life in such. It's almost like that normal state where you're always used to being surrounded by those things and just doing those things. And like my family, they're like, oh, why don't you come hang out on Friday with us? And I'm like, because I don't drink. You know, like there's no point of going around, like I'm not going to surround, I love you guys, but it's not fun to watch, like you guys are crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't want to be around that. That's just not entertaining to me. It's not fun.
And there's just no need.
I don't even want to drink, so like there's no point. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, there really isn't just any need for it. So it's a good feeling though.
What's your biggest accomplishment within your recovery so far?
I cried when I practiced this question. I'm trying not to cry.
Aww.
Being a mom.
That's
yay. Tears of joy.
Same for us. Well, for I speak.
You're a mom too.
Sometimes.
You're a mom, dad. We take both titles. That's incredible. How old's your boy? You have a son, right?
I have he's fixing to be 9 this year. No, 10. I'm sorry. I have so many kids. I have a 2-year-old over here. And then I have a 7-year-old daughter.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I have a 10-year-old who, she'll be 11 this year. I don't have her though, so.
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, knowing what you know now, would you go back and change anything?
No.
I always like when people answer that way. I do, because we can't change anything, and that's who we become today. So if you've grown into a piece of shit, then that's what you did with your time. But like if you I'm just being honest though, because some people you gotta put work into this to be successful. I'm a realist. And it really, when we put the drugs down or the alcohol down or whatever your addiction is, you're still left with yourself. That's where the work starts. And I'm not saying that it's not hard to, you know what I mean? Because for me to get a 24 hours, it was almost impossible, it felt like, until I got locked up. That's what it took. It was either me going to jail or dying, And then after I finally got locked up, then the real decision was, do I just want to go do my time or do I want to stay clean? Because then I didn't want, because if I went back out, I knew I was gonna die if I went back out and used.
It's life or death.
So it was not just like a quick decision, I'll just go do my time and I'll go back out and use. That wasn't an option. So it wasn't.
So if you could say something to somebody that's still out there actively using, what would you say to that person?
So this is tough. I talked to a few people that are trying to get clean or do better. Honestly, there's really nothing you can say because in addiction, they're going to do what they want irregardless.
Yep.
But I would just be there for support at a distance. But you can't really tell an addict, stop doing this. Let's do this. Let's go this route. They're not going to do it. So just be there as support and without enabling, honestly.
Good answer.
Absolutely.
Be there for them.
So if you could say something to a family member of a loved one that's still out there actively using, what would you say to that family member?
The same thing.
Same thing.
Just be there.
Absolutely. So we're just going to open up the floor and go ahead and take us away with your story, any experience, strength, and hope you want to share. The floor is yours, girl.
Okay, so with what I'm going to share, I kind of was just going to start from the first time I got high to certain experiences that I went through and now, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Whatever you want. Awesome.
Okay, so I started smoking weed probably in 6th grade, started drinking and dabbling in pills and stuff. Well, the first time I had really got high was I was with these neighbors that lived at my mom's apartment complex. Because where I was staying at, they made me leave because I had dropped out of school. So I had to go back to my mom's. Well, long story short, I was over there and they were like making lines and I wasn't, I never, but I went ahead and they offered it to me and I did it. I did that and then they're like, well, we need more, and I'm like, okay. They're like, well, go to your mom and get more. I'm like, my mom, and I remember she would be so mad that I would go over there. She would try her hardest to keep me from going next door, but I always found a way. There's a girl over there that I hung out with and whatnot. Well, I go to my mom's apartment and I bust through her bedroom door and she looks at me. She's like, you're high as fuck right now. And I'm like, well, they said they got it from you. Well, after we get in an argument about it, she ends up giving me some. And mind you, I just dropped out of school, so I was probably like 13 or 14 years old. And that's when it started. What are you talking to?
Oh, look how cute!
Aw.
Ah, that's so cute!
He's over here just talking. Okay, well, I had met this one girl who introduced me to these Mexicans because I wanted to make some money. And, well, I got involved in hoeing. And we would go to, like, different apartment complexes and the situations I've been in. I wouldn't necessarily say I was raped because you know what you're getting yourself into when you go over there. Like, you know what I mean? But I remember I would do so much coke that I would grow up and just continue doing it and just keep going. Well, I ended up meeting her boyfriend, long story short, turned into my oldest father. And we ended up, clicking or whatever. And I think what made me click to him is because he was the dope boy. You know what I mean? The dope boy. Well, stuff got serious with us, but it got to the point where, and mind you, I didn't have eyebrows. I drew my eyebrows on. He wouldn't let me wear makeup. He wouldn't let me wear eyebrows. I had to wear baggy clothes. If he wasn't able to lock me in someone's room, because we stayed with like different people, trap houses, hotels, if he wasn't able to lock me into their bedroom and keep me away from everyone, because he was like screwing every female that was around us, I had to keep my head in his shoulder, or I'd get my ass beat, pretty much. I wasn't allowed to look, speak, blink, all of it. Oh man, there's so much more. I'm trying to not because I have so much that I've gone through that I want to share. Am I okay?
Yeah,
you're okay.
You're okay.
You take your time. Take your time,
Okay.
absolutely.
Well, we end up getting pregnant, and I end up having the baby, and he ends up going to prison. So I'm living with his mom, and I'm not like all the way back in that lifestyle, but I'm still kind of like back and forth. Well, I end up meeting my current fiance and we end up messing around, and then we get pregnant with my son, and I fall back off after he was born. He was probably like a couple months old. So they end up keeping him from me. And then back in the hotels. And see, what's crazy is that I used to get pimped out, and then I started doing it to other females. Like, it's just a vicious cycle that
Absolutely.
this TV is so. But yeah, so I end up getting pregnant with my daughter, and I'm living in hotels with my mom. And the type of relationship that I have with my mother and my father is, whenever I would go see them or have them come stay with me, if I didn't have dope, it was a problem. Yeah, that's the kind of relationship I had. And then I had my daughter, and I went back with Alex, and we tried it again, and I got off dope completely. But then, after you have a baby, they prescribe you Lortabs for pain.
Yep.
So I kept getting more refills, and they only allow you I think 3 or 4 refills.
Yeah,
well, I remember my mother-in-law telling me, she was like, "You're becoming addicted to these. You need to stop." Plus, I was lightly drinking. Well, I stopped those, and I end up drinking more, a lot more, and then I become depressed, and I get on anxiety medication. I started using that, and it got it got so bad that my kids, they were probably 3 and 5, and they would see their mom blacked out, drunk, kicking the front door. And these situations that I'm saying, I don't remember. Mind you, I don't remember them at all. Is what Alex has told me. I guess I had a seizure one night, and my son walked in and seen it, and he had called my brother to come help him with me. My kids are freaking out, looking over me, wondering what the hell is wrong with their mom. And I told myself from day one that they wouldn't go through what I went through as a kid with my mom, because it started being basically living the life that I lived when I was younger. I remember seeing my mom passed out on the floor in 5th grade, coming home, because I come home at dark, and she's passed out on the floor. Well, not passed out, but laying down moaning. I'm thinking she's having a heart attack, and come to find out she's drunk. So, and you would thinking that you would stop. You know what I mean? Like you would think that, right? And then, well, a situation happens that I can't really explain on just yet. We get separated because of DHS, and they end up putting me in a shelter. I end up getting a job, training to be a pharmacy tech, and then I end up meeting this guy out of prison, and that was all bad. My current fiance has another girlfriend, and so I'm just like not okay with that. And so I guess, okay, it's kind of selfish, because you would think like with him being with someone else, like I'm with someone, I don't know, it was a hot mess. Well, I guess he's like flipping dope, and I didn't know that he was. I found that out through my brother. Well, I thought that I could just go ahead and, get on it too and just make a little extra money for Christmas. And it turned into a full-blown relapse. I ended up going to jail. 2 weeks later, I go to jail again. I start IV using. And then a situation happens on the way. Okay, wait, scratch that. Before that, I get a call from my caseworker telling me that if I don't straighten up, because mind you, they had helped me. They were going to give my kids to me in this state of mind. That's the system for you. Like their dad was doing everything in his power, classes, all that, was not an addict at all. And they were going to give my kids to me in that state of mind. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
That blows my mind. But anyway, she calls me. She's like, if you don't get into rehab, your rights are gone. You have like this long, and if it doesn't happen, your rights are gone. Well, a situation happens on the way to rehab that I can't speak on because it is a current case that I'm fighting as we speak. So, well, here comes the good now. I go to rehab, and I kind of regain a relationship with my mother a little bit, but she visits me at rehab high and lies to me, and like it was so fucking embarrassing. And I was pregnant with the other dude's baby, who I had to give up for adoption. Well, I ended up giving her up, and then my mom promises me that when I get out, she'll be sober and straight, So I get out, and I come to where she's at. She's obviously not sober and straight. I try to help her get her into another apartment, and get her into an apartment. She's got people over. I'm trying to work, and I'm staying sober. Mind you, around all this, I managed to stay sober. My sober date is 9/7 of 2017.
Woo!
And we're in the beginning of 2018 in this scenario.
Okay. Yep.
And she's going crazy, and so I find her dope sack, and I tell her I flushed it. Well, she keeps me up all night long, and when it gets to that point where you have to lay hands on your mom, and forgive me for anyone that might judge me for this, but no one knows everything. Like, this is just a little bit of what I've gone through with this woman. When she has the nerve to tell me that she made me sit in jail for 3 months because I needed to think about what I'd done.
Yeah.
You kind of like look at that person like, yeah, you're my mom. You were there, but were you there? you existed. Like, you were more of a best friend than a mom.
Yeah, I get it.
And when it got to the point where I had to lay hands on her, I knew it was time. I had to step back. I had to leave. And then, so I went place to place, and every place I went, there was dope. There was, I don't know no one. I don't. Like, right now, I'm alone. I have my fiance, my kids, and y'all on TikTok.
Yeah.
That's all I have. Thank God for TikTok. But yeah, so, where was I at? I stepped back from her, and place to place, I finally get my fiance to convince his mom to let me come live with him, because again, I get pregnant again for the last time. No more babies. I'm done. I get pregnant with a 2-year-old, and she lets me come back and realizes that we need each other. Like, set aside everything we've been through. We've always managed. Like, he was there for me through my addiction and everything, just at a distance. He's the only one that's been there for me. The only one, surprisingly. The shit I've put him through, oh my God. But now, you know, we got our own place. 3.5 years sober. Engaged. Court's getting, all that stuff's hopefully going to be taken care of. God bless. I got 3 counties I got to fight. 3 counties.
Oh gosh. I'm
working on the first one. We're gonna take them, you know, at a time. Get my license, and yeah, and there's one thing I do want to say. If you want out, you can get out. It's possible. You gotta want that. And I do want to give a shout out to Renee. You know Renee? On TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's fucking proof. Don't matter how old you are, what the hell you got going on. If that woman right there can get out, man, come on. It is possible. It is fucking possible. She gives a lot of people hope.
That's awesome.
And so did your story, though.
And see, and again, I had to practice a little bit because there's so much more, but I didn't want to like ramble on with like stuff. But those are like the main points that I know that there's probably girls that were my age now probably going through something similar. And I just want them to know that, man, you can get out. You just got to want to. Absolutely. It's a hard ass fucking trial run to get through, but it's possible.
Absolutely. No matter the situation.
My name is Caity. I am very, very, very grateful for my children, and my sobriety day is September 7th of 2017.
Awesome.
Woo-hoo!
Good for you.
I love
Good
that.
For you. Very
yes.
proud of you.
Mama Bear proud.
Are you on the woman's podcast?
Yes.
She is with you? That's awesome. Thanks for supporting that, too. That's
now I can probably talk and feel a little better now that I did this.
Yeah.
See? Good.